Hi, ladies. Today we are very fortunate to have the lovely Melinda Samson with us today. Hi, Melinda.
Hey, Danielle.
Melinda is the founder and co-owner of Click Winning Content, a Google Premier Google Partner agency. She's a Google Ads and Analytics consultant, a speaker and a trainer. And Melinda provides results-driven services to Australian businesses and is committed to never using an acronym without explaining it first.
Yay!
Thumbs up to that.
No jargon. Down with jargon.
Exactly, that's what I love. And Melinda's going to talk to us about Google Ads today. So thank you for joining us, Mel.
Thanks for having me. I do love to talk about Google Ads every chance I get.
Well, now's your chance. You've been given a microphone, go for it.
Okay, bang. All right.
I guess I wanted to ask you, these days there's so many options for online advertising, social media, that kind of thing. What are the benefits of running Google Ads?
Yeah, so that's a great question to start with. And really the difference is if someone's on social media, they're often there for whatever reason they're there for, not to find a product or service or something to pay money for. Whereas when people go to Google, they're searching for a thing and it might be your product or your service. So you want to be able to have your ad to show up to the right people in the right place at the right time. And then I wanted to add one of Google's lines, which is in the moments that matter. So when it's important to someone to connect with a business like yours, you want to make sure that you're there. And that's really what Google search does. I think the other thing is with Google Ads, they can get you to page one of Google, whereas to try and rank organically now, it's getting more and more competitive. And there can only be something like 8 websites in those organic results. And there's only 4 ad spots at best at the top of the search results. But if your campaign's managed well, you can get your ad there fast and be in front of the right people, because what's the joke that you could hide a dead body on the second page of Google because no one ever goes there. So you need to be on page 1, be in front of the right people at the time to have a chance to get their business.
Yeah. And I guess, Google Ads can be quite daunting if you haven't run them before. Where's a good place for us to start?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And there's actually a lot of different options. So there's 2 platforms that Google has, and one's called AdWords Express and one's called Google Ads. If people didn't have the big budget, so say you had a few $100s a month and you wanted to try something and you didn't want to spend a lot to get it set up or managed, then AdWords Express is a good place to start. So Google promotes it as just being easy and fast, which it is. And I believe you can track phone calls made to your business that come in. If someone finds your business on a mobile device, they click to call you, you can see how many calls you've got. Yeah. So it's good in that respect. If people have more budget to spend and they really want to drill in to get a good return on investment, then they will need to move to Google Ads because it's got all the features. So where AdWords Express is fast, you also have limited control. So Google picks your keywords, you set your target area, you set your ad copy, but Google does everything else, which is great if you don't want to spend time managing it. But if you want to know all the ins and outs, or for example, a lot of our clients, it's really important to them to be in the top positions for a certain keyword. So you need to have a full ads account to have that kind of control.
So with the Express, you can't edit what they've created for you at all. It's just what they do.
Yeah, right? So Google picks the keywords that your ad shows for. And 2 things that people don't always realize, often it can be your brand keywords, which makes sense because they've matched them to your website, but a lot of the clicks might be coming for your brand, whereas you haven't decided necessarily that you want to pay for those clicks.
So for example, Mal, if we were to do that and I put She Will Shine, I might become a lighting company or something like that. Is that kind of what you mean?
No, more so say you look at your top 10 keywords and one might be women's networking, but the second one might be She Will Shine. So you're paying for clicks that people could have found you organically for anyway.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of value in running a campaign for your brand keywords, but that's probably a whole separate podcast. But it's just an example that you can't say to Google, don't show my ads for that. They have the control of it. And the other thing is it puts your ads out on what's called the Google Display Network. So that's all the websites that host display ads. And again, where there's a lot of benefits of running a carefully planned display network campaign, often their clicks, they're not as well targeted because they're people that were on a website already and then happen to find something, whereas you want the Google search ones where people are actively searching for your product or service. So the other option I did want to mention is it's fine to call Google Ads support and ask them to help you get a campaign set up. And again, if people wanted to dip their toe in the water and see if it works, that's a good starting place. And you might then decide, this is going really well. Now is the time to invest and work with an agency to make it even better.
And how much should we expect to pay, just a ballpark figure, to have it set up and managed by an agency?
Look, agencies work differently. So we actually do charge a setup fee, and that's a one-off. And then we have a fixed monthly management fee, whereas a lot of agencies will charge a percentage of spend and no fee, but maybe every month you're spending more. So to me, the important thing is that people ask careful questions when they're assessing that. So if you talk to the agency, ask if they have a setup fee, what's the ongoing fee, could it ever vary? And it's really important that they're transparent about how much is ad spend and how much they're taking, because some bigger companies that I'm aware of just charge the client a certain amount every month and the client's not aware of which part the agency's keeping and which part they're getting for their ad clicks. So, and that's fine, their model works for them, but just ask the important questions before you decide who to work with.
And in regards to that, so not the ad agency management, just say we're doing our very first Google Ads campaign, for how much is a good starting point for the advertising spend? So not including the agency management.
This is a really great question. And it depends on your industry and how much the clicks will cost. So people can use a tool called the Keyword Planner and put keywords in, and Google will give an indication of how much a click will cost. So having said that, you now need an active Google Ads campaign running. I think it needs to spend $10 a day or more or something like that to get the full information out of the Keyword Planner. So if people just logged into it separately, you can get some information, but probably not as much as an agency can get that can research how much your clicks will cost. So let's do an example. Let's say your clicks are $1, which is actually really awesome. And then it relates to how well your website converts. So you might need to get 20 people to your website before one of them rings you. And that's a 5% conversion rate, which is pretty normal. So then your conversion has cost $20. So it's sort of up to the business owner to decide how much is it worth that? What's the conversion worth? And also, if it's $20 a phone call, maybe you need 3 phone calls before someone works with you. So that's $60 that lead cost. But honestly, if that person brings you $500, it's worth it rather than doing nothing, isn't it?
It depends what the spend is on the other side.
Yeah, so it's really know your business numbers and know what the value of a new client is worth. Another example I could give is an e-store. So if you sell a product for $50 and your profit's $25, how much of that $25 would you like to give to Google to get that order? And again, it relates to some clients are happy to spend the whole 25 because they have this amazing email marketing program where they put their clients into, and they know like it starts at a $50 order, but over the lifetime they spend $1,000. So again, just understand your business numbers and what the new clients are worth to figure out how much you're willing to invest. And I guess just to reinforce to us, the click cost isn't as important as the conversion cost. So if your website converts really, really well, we can get you a conversion for less money. And that's really awesome. So keep that in mind as well. And if I can just follow on from that, to know how much the conversions cost, you need to have conversion tracking set up and working. So I would encourage everyone especially running a full Google Ads campaign, look at all the different options for tracking things and have them set up before you spend a cent on the advertising part.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing. You want to make sure that what you're doing is going to be beneficial. So you need to do the groundwork first.
Exactly. And to be honest, sometimes it's fiddly, it's technical. You need someone that can use Tag Manager or look at your website code and those kind of things. Just to give some examples of conversions you can track with Google Ads. So they've got a code, it's called website call tracking, and it means if someone clicked on your ad, went to your website and then called you, I can tell you what keyword that person searched for and how much it cost you in ad spend to get that call. So that's really powerful. The other main ones we use are if you've got an online inquiry form, you want to track how many people submitted that. And if you're an e-store, whether or not you're running Google Ads, I would encourage everyone to have e-commerce tracking working in Google Analytics. And we can link that back to the ad campaign and say you spent this much and you earned this much revenue. So that's really powerful as well. Yeah,
fantastic. And because it sounds very technical, Mel, and my brain is going, I don't know if I can do this on my own, to be honest. You know, we're talking about agencies. How do we find an agency? Like you went through what we need to talk with them. But what other things do we need to look at when we're, you know, should we go for recommendations? Like, is that the safest way to go?
That's what I would do first. A lot of people do find us in Google organic search, and then they make the link that if we're coming up there, then we know what we're doing, which is kind of nice because we put a bit of effort into that. I think definitely ask for recommendations. There's a lot of Google partner agencies in Australia. Sorry, it's quite hot today. I've got the lights on and stuff. There's a lot of Google partner agencies in Australia, and it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. So I think it depends on your budget and how you like to work and what level of communication and reporting that you need. So start by asking for recommendations. Obviously, see who you're connected to on social media. Google search is a good option, or just come to us.
And we will have a link to Mel's fabulous business at the end of this. At the end of this.
So we can't always work with everyone that inquires, but I do like to give good guidance to people about how to get started. So that's fine.
Fantastic. Okay, so speaking about getting started, what are your top tips for running an effective campaign?
Tips. All right, I'm just going to check my notes because I didn't want to miss anything on this question. So the most important one is to have an amazing website. If you're not happy with your website or you haven't yet made it mobile friendly, you haven't, what's the other thing? Like it needs to be fast to load. It really should be HTTPS domain now as well. So work on your website first, have a professional design, be clear about what you want to achieve, have a good call to action, all those things. Do that first. And then if you are running a Google Ads campaign, set it up well according to best practices. By this, I mean, if you've never run Google Ads before, don't do it yourself, in my opinion. And I've looked at a lot of campaigns that business owners set up themselves. And to be honest, sometimes it nearly makes me cry. So I'm just like, you've not paid for any clicks that we're ever going to convert to business. And there's various reasons for that. But regardless, have the campaign set up well because you'll benefit from every click that you pay for thereafter. So consider that really, really important. And the other thing I did mention before, but have conversion tracking set up, figure out what you'd like to achieve and how you can track it and how you know whether or not you're getting a good return from your ad spend.
So keep checking, keep on top of it.
That's another good point. It's not set and forget. You can't just start it up tomorrow and it's going to save your business. And as much as I'd like to say it will, sometimes an ad campaign starts working awesomely from the very first day. And I love that when clients come back and say, oh my goodness, I've had so many calls. But sometimes it takes more work as well to get it right, and a lot of communication between the client and us to what we're going to change and what we're going to test to make it work. And you just really, to me, it's about making small changes regularly to try and improve. So you want to bring down the cost per conversion and get more conversions coming through. And you can't just flip a switch and always make that happen.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of online advertising, isn't it? Because you can go back and change as many times as you like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you are in complete control. So the client sets the daily budget they're happy to spend. A lot of our clients are shutting over Christmas, so we stop their ads. We don't want them getting calls coming through if they're shut and they're not there to answer it. It's completely fine. You pick the target area. We have control of the keywords. We control what the ad says. So again, that's part of getting it set up properly right from the start.
Yeah, perfect. Like I mentioned before, we did have a member question come through, but we have another one that that was asked, and it was around Google Ads metrics.
Yeah.
So one example that we were given, which is a bit difficult to explain, but it was about competitors having a smaller shown percentage, but a higher ranking in the overall search results. So if you can just kind of talk us through that as best you can.
So I'm going to try not to be too Google speak. Interrupt if I am. So there's one metric called impression share. And basically that relates to how many times was your ad shown as a percentage of how many times it could have been shown. Okay. And this goes back to, we get a lot of questions from clients saying, how come I can't see my ads? So if you imagine your daily budget's $20 and your clicks cost $10, Google will only show your ad enough across the day to get 2 clicks. Does that make sense?
Yes.
They can't show it every, because once you've had 2 clicks, your budget's used up.
Yeah, you've exceeded your budget.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so that's impression share, which is often limited by budget. So your impression share might be 50%, your ad's shown half of the searches.
Yep.
And then the other metric was how come, what, can you just read me the second part again?
Competitors have a smaller shown percentage, but a higher rank in the overall search results.
Yeah. So that means when their ad is actually shown, it's on top of yours, it's in a higher ad position. And the ad position relates to the overall quality of the campaign, but also a thing called the maximum bid. So it's an auction system. So if that competitor is prepared to pay more than you and everything else is equal in terms of quality, then their ad will show in a higher position. But it also means their click might cost more and their budget will get used up faster. Yeah. So this is a lot of what we analyze in the day-to-day management for clients.
It sounds too much for me, Mel.
Yeah, you gotta like the numbers.
Yeah. So, but there's so many, which is why it's so powerful, because there are so many options. But as a small business owner, it's also a huge ballpark to try to kind of enter when you don't have that knowledge.
Exactly. So I would encourage anyone that wants to run their own Google Ads to make the time to be educated about it. It's not going to work if you just set it up and leave it alone. And don't just let it run if you don't think it's working, like stop the ads and find an agency or find someone that can help you. Yeah. We also offer one-to-one training. So I look directly at people's campaigns and we either decide, do we scrap them and start again from scratch, or what updates can I show the business owner how to make so that they can improve the campaign over time.
What about another angle, Mel? What if someone has been through an agency, had a bad experience? They may not have access. I've heard horror stories of they not having access to those, to their own ads and things like that. What should they do?
There's not much. I don't think there's much they can do at that point in time. It's really important before you start working with the agency, ask if you'll be able to, one, will you be able to log into your AdWords account? And two, if you stop working with that agency, do you own your campaigns and the complete history so that you can choose if you wanted to work with someone else? But you do need to do that right from the start. Yeah. Google's got a policy of third-party compliance, and if the client asks an agency, they have to give you their customer ID number, and if you can answer some other questions from AdWords support, they can help you get access to the account. Yeah. But honestly, it's much better to just find the right agency at the start. Make sure you can always log in whenever you want to, and that you'll have all the history. And partly why that's important is where I mentioned a lot of getting the value out of an AdWords campaign is all the little changes that are made along the way to get to the good conversion cost, which you need the history for. And there's things called negative keywords, which we add so your ad doesn't appear to the wrong people. A good example might be if I did my ad for Google Ads Management, I don't want to pay for clicks from job seekers, people looking for Google Ad jobs, recruiters, all of that. So we put them in as negative keywords right from the start to avoid the client having to pay for that. But you do build up a history, and regardless of who you work with, you want to keep all that information so you don't have to start from scratch again.
Yeah, it's the history of what's worked and what hasn't worked.
Exactly, yeah,
perfect, yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mel. Really appreciate your time.
No, that was fun. That was good. And like I said, I do like to talk Google Ads. So if anyone wants to connect on social media, I share a lot of tips there. I'm always happy to answer questions because Google Ads can be awesome. Like they can really turn a business around, but it needs to be done properly and carefully and thoughtfully rather than just a big, oh, we need to try this, we need more web traffic. Like that approach doesn't work. So I would encourage people to learn. I wanted to share, Danielle, I think you're going to put the links up, but there's some places people can get free resources. So
awesome. Yeah, I can do that in the show notes.
Yeah, so if you just search Academy for Ads, that's where all Google's free Google Ad training is, and that's where we do our exams and everything as a Google partner. They've also got a really great YouTube channel, so just search YouTube for Google Ads. And there's another free course called Google Digital Garage, and ads is a part of it, but for anyone wanting to learn more about digital marketing, I would start there. It's completely free. Awesome. The videos are really short, like 1 or 2 minutes, so you can just pop a few in while you're cooking dinner or whatever, if you like to learn that way. So definitely there's a lot of free resources available to help people learn if they are interested in it.
Awesome. I'll put all that in the links in the show notes so that everyone can have access to that as well. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mal. Is there anything you want to add on to that, or do you think we've covered everything that you need to share?
We're all good. I think ask a lot of questions and don't let anyone intimidate you. If you don't understand what they're talking about, keep asking or don't work with them.
If they're using too many acronyms, don't work with them.
If there's too much jargon, it's not you, it's them.
Thank you so much for your time, Mel. Pleasure.
No worries. Lovely to talk. See ya.